What's going on, guys? It's Troy Dan here. Today, we're watching a video. This one is titled, The Weirdest NBA Game Ever, Warriors vs. Blazers. Now, this video was sent in by quite a few people via Twitter. I see it's getting a lot of attention, but I have not seen it yet. I don't even know what it's talking about. I read the description. It said a game from 2010, I think that's what it said at least, between the Golden State Warriors and, well, the Portland Trail Blazers. What makes a game weird? I don't know. I have no idea. I see Steph Curry there. I know that's kind of weird. Not really. Curry's everywhere. Anyway, let's just watch the goddamn video.
Golden State Warriors have become a dominant force of basketball.
Hello?
They've set records, won championships, and amassed a slew
Yes, they
of
have.
team and individual achievements. However, there was a time when things weren't looking so good for the franchise.
Oh?
In fact, the Warriors hold the record for the most seasons without a playoff appearance at 35.
Yeah, I remember when Golden State sucked every fucking year. Some of the kids don't remember that, dude. They were the shittiest goddamn team. Back when the Lakers were turning up.
One of those seasons was in 2010 when the team won just 26 games. However, none of those games were as interesting as the very last.
Okay. This makes me feel good about the Lakers situation right now, right? You see Steph Curry, those guys, back then, they couldn't get it done. Now, one of the best teams in the league.
The date was April 14th, 2010.
2010.
The Warriors were finishing up a rough season full of injuries and missed opportunities. They had traded players, waived players, signed players to 10-day contracts, and pulled guys up from the D-League, all in an effort to account for losses of key players.
Right.
They had a somewhat bright future with
Yes.
rookie Steph Curry
Yes,
and
they
budding
will.
star Monte Ellis, both of whom
Not about
would
Ellis,
carry the
but Curry,
team
yeah.
on this fateful night.
I have no
For
idea
their
what's going to
last
happen. I have absolutely no fucking
Game
clue.
of the season, a road game against the Portland Trail Blazers, the Warriors had only 6 healthy players. However,
shit.
in order to comply with the NBA rule stating that you must have a minimum of 8 players dressed,
Wait, what?
both Anthony Morrow and Ronnie Turioff were in uniform, although they were injured in previous games and technically could not play.
Ronnie!
The starting lineup
Former
was
Laker.
Steph Curry, Monte Ellis, Anthony Tolliver, Reggie Williams, and Chris Hunter. The
Okay.
plan was basically for them to play every minute of the game. 5 minutes and 27 seconds into the game, the plan was dashed as starting center Chris Hunter suffered a knee injury that forced him to the bench. In came Devin George in his place.
Okay.
At this point, there is no room for error. There couldn't be any more injuries, no foul outs, no ejections, nothing.
Because there's only 5 people.
Playing for 48 minutes straight is tough enough, but they also had to play perfectly. Surprisingly, the game went pretty well. Curry scored 42 points, Ellis poured in 34, and with the help of a double-double from Anthony Tolliver, the Warriors had a lead with less than 5 minutes to play.
Damn, okay. You're onto something.
And that's when the madness started. Devin George committed a foul, his 6th of the game, an automatic disqualification. The only problem was the Warriors didn't have anyone else that could play. Sure, they had 2 other players dressed, but that was only to comply with the rules.
They're allowed to play on. They're allowed to play on, right?
Actually play
I've heard
a
about
game.
this happening.
Now, the rules state that if a player in the game receives his 6th personal foul and all substitutes have already been disqualified,
they're allowed to play.
that player will remain in the game and will be charged with a personal foul and team foul.
Yeah.
A technical foul will also be assessed against the team. Knowing this rule, Don Nelson explained to the refs that his other 2 players could not play and asked them to let Devin George stay in the game.
The problem here is that
This is
Hunter has been
ridiculous.
injured in the game. But Don Nelson is
Something like this happened for the Lakers,
saying is,
where they didn't have
I don't want to put
a lot of
injured
players,
player back
and
in. He can't play.
in a
The
similar
referees
situation.
apparently
That's
did
why I
not
can recall
agree
this.
with his interpretation of this rule, forcing Nelson to put Chris Hunter, who, if you remember, had been injured in the game and could barely walk, back into the game.
Wow.
It didn't help that the Portland fans went hysterical when Nelson tried to protect his injured player by keeping George in the game.
Wow.
They want to do the same thing they did when Steph Curry fouled out and didn't have enough players.
Right.
They want Devin George to stay on the floor. That's it.
Poor
So
Golden
Hunter
State
goes
at
back
that
in,
time.
gimp leg and all. He Willis reads his way through about a minute of play and
God.
eventually picks up a foul trying to draw a charge.
That's so
At this
fucked up.
point, Chris Hunter simply cannot play. Devin George, the only healthy player left, can come in the game, right? Nope. No matter how much Nelson pleads, the refs won't allow George back in.
What?
At this point, the Blazers fans are livid. Apparently, they thought it was unfair that an injured player should be allowed to not play. Or maybe they were so upset by getting beat by a squad of 5 guys.
Don Nelson wants Devin George to go
What
back
is
in,
going on?
and Rush is pointing at somebody else.
So what happens? Ronny Turiaf, who was injured in a previous game, is forced to enter the game. He plays about 15 seconds, long enough to commit a foul and submit a claim that he was injured during the game, thus allowing him to sit out and not play.
Okay.
But it's not over.
This is
Anthony Morrow
ridiculous.
is also dressed on the bench, although being injured. So he also has to come into the game. Morrow plays about 10 seconds, claims an injury that he already had, and goes to the bench. Now Devin George can come back in.
What?
So the Warriors have exhausted all of their players. Literally no one is on the bench since all of their healthy players are on the court, and there are 3.5 minutes left in the season. At this point, you take a loss, right? Everyone would understand. The Blazers were a 50-win
Right.
team in the 6th seed.
Oh, look at that, kids. Look at that. I want you to take in who's number 1 right now. That's right. One time they were good.
The Warriors were a lottery team hoping for the number 1 pick. There's no shame in just accepting the inevitable. Well, the Warriors were not in an accepting mood that night.
I guess they
Over
wouldn't
the next
be.
3 minutes and 29 seconds, the Warriors went on a 14-6 run.
Damn!
With Steph Curry scoring 11
Curry!
of those points. The Warriors walked
The young
away,
Curry.
or limped away, with a hard-fought 122
Won
to
the game.
116 victory. This story shows what can happen when, even under bizarre circumstances, you keep fighting. Coach Don Nelson said of his players,
Unbelievable.
they thought it was the greatest game they ever played in to do
Really?
something like that. You know what? They might be right.
Really. Chef Curry. Steph Curry. All right. That was, I guess that was it. That was interesting. I never really heard about this game before. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. No, I've never heard about it. I've heard that situation coming up. Maybe it was in reference to this game, but I think it's happened before. I remember the Lakers a couple of years ago when Chris Kaman was on the team and he was the only guy on the bench. I remember he had his legs stretched down because no one was there. The Lakers had so many problems with injuries, with like Nash and Howard and everyone out at the time, Kobe. It was a whole fucking mess, but this takes the cake. And for Golden State to actually win the game, that's pretty funny. Good stuff, Curry. Good stuff. Guys, if you got a video like for me to watch or react to, you can tweet me at TroyDanGaming under the hashtag TroyDanReacts. Thank you for watching. And kids, stay the fuck out of trouble.